Que Serato.
Hey, it's Fantasy Fiends podcast. Hey, that's pretty good. I like that. I like that.
You started strong and just boom.
I laughed too. That also ruined it. I'm your boy, Stevie Collier, actual author over here. I've written books, which I think Andy and I often forget is an achievement. You should be praising us like gods. Speaking of Andy, I'm here with Andy Peliquin. He's tall enough to be a god. Hey, and our guest, T. Norman. How you doing, T?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. All right, man. Doing all right. Do you want us to call you T?
Sure. That works.
T? Is that how you go by? T?
Yep.
T? I was almost named T-Bone.
That was my nickname many years ago.
Was it really? Did you get it from
Yeah.
your mom like I did?
No, I did not. No? That didn't work.
That's better.
Why would you be named T-Bone, Stevie?
Because of Stevie. TB. So they went from Stevie, and then my baby name was TB. Like, oh, baby TB, and then T-Bone.
All right.
I've done the math.
I can see that. It's weird, but I can understand it.
That's why I don't want. I wish I wouldn't have told you guys that now. But well, T. Now that we're on a more intimate level, what color is your underwear? No, I'm just kidding. So T. He hasn't checked today.
I have no idea.
So T. Norman, thank you so much for being with us today. I promise you, the podcast isn't that weird. Unfortunately, we didn't get to warn you beforehand. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the series we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, so I'm T. Norman. I've been writing for 3 years.
Nice.
On and off a little bit. I kind of released 2 books and then realized I can't write them fast enough, working full time on the side. So I have taken a break. My series is called The Ascent Archives, and we'll be talking about Bloodstained Air as the first book in this series.
The Ascent Archive.
Yes.
And this is is this the newer stuff or the older stuff?
So the whole series is The Ascent Archives. There's going to be 4 books. 2 of them are published, and then I have the other 2 about to be published in the next 3-4 months.
Cool. Oh, wow. So you know what? So is this a hobby that you want to turn into a career one day, or?
Ideally, I would like to have it be a career. Sorry, I have a kid in the background. She's pounding on my door, trying to get my attention. But
You're good. You're good, man. You look too young to have kids.
I apologize. I have 2 of them, a 2-year-old and a newborn as well. So
how old? Well, congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
How old are you?
29.
Oh, wow, dude. Don't scare me like that. I'm 27. I don't want a kid. I'm about to be 28. I thought you looked young. That's good, though. No, it's a good age to have kids, apparently. Andy, take it away from me, man. I'm making this like freaking Delilah.
Is Lisa around? Because she might be like,
you know what? What's weird with Lisa? I could totally see myself having kids with her, and I've told her that before. And usually it's her who kind of puts it off in the back burner, like she doesn't want to talk about it. And then I was like, Lisa, I think 35 would be a good age to have kids. And she goes, "No, I want them around 30." I was like, "Whoa, what?" But actually, there's health risks involved having kids older. So yeah, my brother explained it to me.
Geriatric pregnancies.
I love 80-year-old pregnant women. I just can't help it. I love that Brazzers category.
Yeah, you keep that category. The views up on that category single-handedly, Stevie.
T, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So
this is that kind of podcast, unfortunately.
Hey, I understand. I've listened before, so I know what's going on.
Okay, good.
Oh, good. Yeah, so no filter, taking it down. So this is the Fantasy Fiends podcast where basically anything goes except for nudity, because that's not allowed on YouTube. Sorry, T. And today, again, Stevie Collier, Andy Peliquin, T. Norman, we have an amazing topic for you guys today. But first, as usual, we talk about something cool that has happened to us this past week. And I actually have cool news and a big thank you for Rajin and Rebecca. So
do it. Take it away.
So a few months ago, Rajin and Rebecca both got me these really nice gifts. They're Japanese dictionaries or Nihongo no Jisho desu. And I had my very first Japanese 2 quiz or exam, and it took 3 hours to complete. I made an 89 on it, which I'm not very happy about. I thought I got higher, but 89, I'll take it. And I used the dictionary for a lot. I used it a lot to find out, because different kanjis have different sayings, just kind of like the word up. Could be ue or jo. And I used the dictionary to kind of figure out, what kanjis I need to use in which situation. So thank you, Rajin and Rebecca. I really appreciate it. And my good news is that I did well on the quiz and the books are getting written. I've been hitting my word count every single day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very excited.
What's your word count?
It's just 2,000.
Nice.
I mean, when I first met you, Andy, I was only writing 500. So, and then I popped up to 5,000, and that was with all the other businesses that I have, I just couldn't do it.
Unsustainable.
What I say, unstable?
Yes.
And that's also why I write 2,000 words a day, because that's the only amount I can find that day. I need an English dictionary, Rebecca, Rajin. So T, do you have something cool that happened to you this week or in the newborn?
Yeah. Newborn's like 2 months old, so that's
old
recent.
news.
Yeah, it is old news. It happened months ago. My cool thing was that I got a proof back for my 4th cover just yesterday. So that's really exciting to kind of see it coming to life and this idea put into practice. So.
Absolutely. It is such an exciting moment when those covers start coming back.
It really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It starts to feel realer than it already does, in a way, like the cover is kind of the last thing before the book is done.
Yep.
So you don't have book 3 up though, right? So you have the cover and that's all done?
Yeah, so book 3 is finishing edits and I have the cover made, and book 4 I'm finishing writing and I just got the cover. I'm planning on releasing those 2 pretty quick and one after another as I just started re-releasing the series, so I'm going to do more advertisements and stuff for book 1 to try and drive some traffic through it all.
How many books is it going to be?
4.
Oh, it's just a 4. Okay.
Yep. So
a quartet.
Right now, yes.
Yep, they're long books too.
Yeah,
they're
decent length.
Like 120,000 words.
Yeah, I think book 1 and 2 are about 90. 3 will be about 120 and 4 will be probably close to 160.
Nice.
Yeah.
Quick question. How tall are you?
6'3".
I was wondering, I looked at your Amazon picture. I'm like, you look like an Andy kind of guy. I don't want to be around you if we ever meet in person. Oh, no, it's a nasty story. Never mind. If I say it's too bad for the podcast. I can't say it. We'll have to do a podcast after dark or something. That's cool, T. Do you want? So there's weapons on each. I highly suggest go check out the covers. I give it my seal of approval. They're really cool. It has a different weapon on each, or are those both spears?
It's a different weapon on each. So the first one is an axe. The second one is a spear. The third one is a sword.
Oh shit!
Oh,
I'll guess the fourth one.
The third one has been the picture's out there in some places.
Okay.
But the fourth one isn't yet. So.
Is it a shovel?
No.
All right, I'm out of ideas. You should have went with the shovel though.
A bow. Tell you what it is, or let you spread. Not a bow. I thought about it.
Oh, that's a good idea. A scimitar.
Not a scimitar. No. This is going for a long time. There's a lot of options.
Yeah, as a fantasy authors here, we'll just stay here all night. Just is it a claymore?
Yeah, no, it could be anything. I can tell you, I'm not really too particular about it. It's a warhammer.
Oh, you have Andy's heart.
like a real warhammer, or like a Thor's, like a decorative, like that kind of hammer, like a blacksmith style.
I would say it's like a real warhammer. The shaft is giant. I mean, it's a fancy rendering of it for the cover, so it looks similar to Thor, like being all nice and pretty and stuff, but it's big.
Okay. So that's one of the misconceptions about warhammers, that they look like that Thor style hammer. That kind of thing, like a warhammer was used to basically punch through or bludgeon armored knights. So it's have like a smaller head, and then like not the claw, but like a punch or a pick on the backside. And it wasn't like this two-handed thing, like you saw in what was that movie? Troy, where that big guy was sledgehammer. Like that's one of the misconceptions. I think that actually Wheel of Time kind of popularized that, because Perrin, he fights with the blacksmith's hammer.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were like, ooh, let's make it like that. But yeah, it was I like that, because the Warhammer, like it's something like they wear on their belt. So they've got their lance, like knife, they've got their lance or whatever. And then, once the lance is broken or they have to discard it in the charge, they need a smaller weapon. So sometimes they've got a sword, sometimes they've got a sword and a warhammer. And that warhammer is just used to beat the shit out of other armored people.
Good to know. Maybe I'll have to make some tweaks on the cover then. Make it a little more realistic.
Hey, don't get me wrong. A Thor style hammer is really, really cool.
Yeah.
If you, I don't know if you want to, are you like waiting to do like a big release of the cover for book 3? Book 4,
actually, book 4, I'm still editing it. Nothing's finalized with that yet. I'm going back and forth for some minor tweaks on it.
Okay.
Book 3, though, that one is finalized, and that's getting on my Instagram account. I think tomorrow or Saturday, I'm going to be releasing the cover. So
nice.
It'll be going public then. I teased it before, and now it's going to be going out then.
Cool, man. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Andy, so have you written your millionth word this week?
No, not yet. Let's see. What's something cool that's happened to me? Well, okay, so this is a milestone that I've hit. It's not related to writing and stuff, but it's sort of a life thing. So I started doing sort of a more exercise and eating healthier at the beginning of this year, to sort of make 2020 the year of getting back in shape after a whole year of basically just hardcore writing. So I've shifted my schedule to include like exercise daily, 6 days a week. It was my 60-day challenge to do 6 days of exercise a week, the whole month of January and February. So I hit that 60-day challenge I only missed 4 days, but it was like sickness for 2 days and like an injury the other 2 days. So like legitimate reasons to not go to the gym. But the rest of the time I hit those 60 days. And like I started out the year at like 138 kilograms, which is like 290 pounds, I think. And this morning when I weighed myself, I was below 130 kilograms. So that's like 8 kilograms or 15 pounds, give or take. And basically the only change was just like eating a little bit healthier and, reducing carb intake to 2 portions a day. Just like not this massive like overhaul, but like a sustainable, healthy, balanced diet. And it's worked wonders.
I think you're like the only guy on the planet that stuck to his New Year's resolution. I don't see how you did that. No, that's good, man. I was back in the gym a lot, and I hurt my back off of kratom because kratom is, I didn't know this, it's a natural opiate, so it was covering my pain really, really well. Like I had no pain, and I was doing deadlifts and squats. I'm like, man, I'm feeling good, no pain. I must have good form. No, I was screwing everything up for months.
Oh wow!
And now my lower back, I don't think I tore a muscle. I do think I strained it. Mm-hmm. It is healing, but I can't do anything. I can't even run.
Oh wow!
I can't even run. So I just walk the dog, and I do this small cardio. T, you know what kratom is?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you said yeah. Oh man, that's bad. It's bad tea. It's bad tea. Well, not for some people, but for people with addictive personalities, it's really bad. Yeah. Anyway, so today we have a really awesome topic for you guys today, and that is, where does the buck stop? And if you're from Texas, no, we're not talking about a deer, which is sad that's the
Canada.
first.
Canada. That's another place where people would immediately think of that.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you guys are like pretty outdoorsy, eh?
Yeah. You actually have to watch for deer running across the street and stuff.
That's what I have to do going to work in Rockdale. Like, we've had people die on that road because of deer.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a thing. They actually teach you in the Canadian, like the driver's license handbook here in BC, and I think in other provinces too, like how to hit animals so that you minimize damage to your car. Like it's just like an accepted part of just sort of like driving in icy conditions. They teach you how to drive and hit animals correctly,
and that way you can skin them easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. T, are you in Minnesota still?
I'm in Wisconsin now.
Wisconsin. Okay.
But
What's
right there still?
Is there an accent? Is there like a word, like an accent?
People think we say bag funny.
Bag? What's a bag? Like a bag of chips?
Like a bag, yeah.
Bag.
Oh, you guys kind of say like up here they say bag.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that. Or I'll casually say oofta in conversation.
Oh, what's that one?
Oofta.
Oofta. It's a really Norwegian thing. It's
Interesting.
Like it's an exclamation of cool.
Oofta.
That's awesome.
Oofta. Sounds like something I'd hear at a Renaissance fair.
Yeah, pretty much
Oofta.
is. Yeah.
Dude, you should go to a Renaissance fair at 6'3" and just like grow your beard out and your hair. You could be Thor, and you could actually take that hammer with you.
I actually did that for Halloween a few years back. I grew the hair out and
damn.
the beard out and dressed up as Thor. So
Wait, you actually grew your hair, or was it?
Yeah, I had it down to my shoulder length.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's where mine's at now. Awesome. So let's go ahead and start the topic. T, this was your idea, right?
Yeah, it was.
So is it a major theme in your books?
Not a major theme. I have a couple characters that this is really relevant for them, and their story arc, and it kind of plays throughout all of it, but it's not a major part of the story. I just think it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it really is. So my brother, he went and did like a 3 or 4 month program in Poland at Auschwitz, like studying remnants of the Jewish, like the stuff that they wrote while in captivity in Auschwitz, and of course, going through that whole experience. And he always talks about like the Jews who actually ended up doing a lot of the killing, because they were the ones, like they were given a choice, either kill or be killed, so they ended up doing it. And it kind of brings up that thought of like, where does who is ultimately responsible when that order is passed down? Mm-hmm. Where does the buck stop? Something that I'm finding with this character in the book I'm working on now. She finds out that there's like human trafficking going on. Her overseers tell her, stay on mission, don't worry about it, or like focus on what you're supposed to be doing. And then she finds out it's a whole lot bigger than she originally thought, and that like it makes her feel really guilty, because even though they gave her the order, she obeyed it. And so it's kind of that it's almost an intellectual exercise of who is ultimately responsible.
Yeah. Sorry
about that.
What happened?
I clicked X out of the tab. I'm not gonna lie. No. So I'm sorry. I missed that. T. So this theme's not a major theme, but it is in your books.
It is. In the very beginning of my first book, there's my main character's their hometown is attacked by this army, and the captain leading the army, he kills someone important to my main group of characters, and later on he actually becomes a very primary character and joins up with them. And it's this whole like, should we actually forgive him because he's helping us now and he was following his orders given by this evil king, but he actually did the killing. So it's it just kind of it keeps coming up throughout the story, and at the end of all of it, you'll see how it plays out and how they decide to settle it.
Very nice.
Now, what do you think about it? Like when you first wrote that thing or thought about it, like offhand, what's your thought about this character in this specific situation?
Yeah, I definitely wrote him to be someone that you kind of root for, but also root against. I want him to be kind of that gray character where he's done these bad things and you know how horrible he is because he killed this person in cold blood. But then he also has redeeming qualities and he's trying to be a better person. So I'm all for the forgiveness part of it. I think that's a way that we grow and we heal is forgive. But I wanted to kind of create him in this place of, I don't know what to do with him. So
it kind of reminds me of Jaime Lannister almost, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he like a character that we hate and then we almost start liking?
Yeah. By the end of the show, you actually like people were like straight onto his side.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it because I never finished it? I need to finish it. Actually, I got a few opinions the other day from people who said they actually really enjoy the ending of the season, which gave me hope because I don't want to hate it. I want to go in and, semi enjoy it. There's people who don't like The Witcher, and that shocked me. I know someone who's like stopped halfway. He's like, I can't do it. And it's like, oh, people have different opinions. Have y'all seen, Andy, you've seen Witcher?
Yeah,
T?
for sure.
I haven't yet. I have such a long list of shows, and I'm busy with a newborn that like free time does not exist. It's all writing right now when I can. So
yeah,
that's good. No, you're not missing anything. No, don't worry about it.
It's on the list. It's up there. So I'll get to it one day.
So this is a really big moral thing, Andy. That what you brought up, Andy, is super depressing, by the way. Like, you totally bum me out. This is a funny show. We don't bring up the Holocaust.
Well, it's probably one of the prime examples and one of the most modern examples of these kind of things. I mean, there's probably countless examples throughout history, on a great of small scale where people were given this order and they followed through with it, or they didn't follow through with it. But like let's take the Nazi stormtroopers, the ones who actually did a lot of the killing, or the SS people. How many of them were straight up evil, and how many of them were just doing what they had to do? You hear about the stories about the people were just like snitching on their neighbors. Someone pisses you off, pees in your flower box or something, you report on them as Jew sympathizers, they're gone the next day. The SS came and take them. So it's just like there, it's such a dangerous line, because on the one hand, you totally understand it's an evil thing that they did. Why would they do it? On the other hand, it's like human beings are bred to survive. We've got this survival instinct that is almost impossible to shut off. It's like drowning is one of the most difficult deaths to actually go through with for suicide, because it's like our bodies fight to get back to the surface and breathe. And so it's just like going through that survival instinct, trying to tell to shut down that instinct and say, no, I'm going to disobey this order, knowing it's going to get me killed, all just to, for some moral thing. It doesn't really work. So you are kind of trapped in this terrible choice where there's really no way out. And so it's kind of what makes it an interesting thing to explore in writing and stories, obviously, because it is so easy to find yourself in these scenarios.
So back to, man, I hate bringing this up, but so I did not know this, by the way, so they had Jews kill other Jews.
Yeah.
Was it like a torture technique, or just because they were tired?
No, there was I'm not 100% certain how it went down, but there was actually a specific number of Jews in each of the or some of the concentration camps that were assigned the task of pulling the lever to the gas chamber, or pulling the trigger or whatever.
God.
And it was all part of their dehumanization.
Okay.
And to just to make it just a shitty existence for this people that they hate.
And I'm guessing if you refused, you were killed.
Exactly. Like the literally the only difference. There was no difference between the people who ended up being the guards and the prisoners, except for some officer said, you're now, gonna do the killing instead of being killed.
Wowza. I'm not afraid to admit it. Like, I have avoided learning about the Holocaust. I'll never visit Auschwitz. I just don't have the guts to do it. I took a whole class on the Holocaust, ironically, and it was in French, which I feel like that language barrier kind of kept me away from it. Mm-hmm. But then sucky enough, I actually started getting better at French. So I started understanding more of it. I was like, oh God. And, it was like the last class of the day. So I just left just totally bummed out. And you know what, though? Extremely grateful. So I don't know what I would, honestly, I think I probably want to save my own life I feel like at that point you're so dehumanized already. Like, have y'all read the book Night?
Night by?
Yeah. It's a Holocaust survivor. I think it's called Night.
No.
And he actually I'm going to use the word dehumanized. And he's so fatigued and tired that he sees like his family get separated. He goes with his dad and he sees his mom and sister leave, and he doesn't even care. That's how exhausted he is. And he admits that in the book, and it's just heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
And I think he had to do some pretty crazy things in there too. And where does the buck stop? And
it's like, so like the Holocaust is the most recent atrocity, and so it's so fresh in our memories that it feels more horrible. But like, look at, you know, the stuff that Genghis Khan did, just absolutely sacking a village to send a message to all the other villages in the region that, you know, join me or you get just destroyed. Or look at what Vlad Tepes did, you know, staking out all those bodies. It's so, it feels, we're so disconnected from it because it feels so foreign to us. But the Holocaust, like, it's right there, it's fresh in our memory. There are people who alive today who lived through it, and that's how, like, that's why it feels so much more visceral. But like, there's all kinds of horrible shit throughout history, and people, and it's so hard to pass judgment on those people. Like, we can sit in our comfortable little chairs, our comfortable lives, and say, oh, that was terrible. But then if you actually understand the full context of it, it's so much more of a difficult decision. I'm definitely not saying it was right, but it was just like, it's an insane choice to have to make.
With Genghis Khan, didn't some of the Chinese population actually see him as like a success? Like, they liked him because they unified China or something? If I remember correctly, I wasn't the best at history, but I'm pretty sure something like that happened. T, I'm sorry, man. I'm guessing you did not expect to go there.
That's all right.
So are your books pretty dark?
Darker, some lighter parts, some darker parts, a little bit of both.
I got you. Well, we're definitely going to be checking out. We're going to be reading, not now, but we're going to be reading chapter 9 in it.
Yes. Yep.
So can you explain to us, do we already know the gist of the story?
No, I didn't really explain that. So do you want just book one or the whole series? Because it's kind of two different stories.
What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, the floor is yours. Do with it what you will.
Yes.
All right, I'll just do book one because that's easier. So book one follows this princess that has been hidden away from a king who's kind of thirsty for his revenge for his father. His father was killed by assassins from the opposing nation, and the princess is in hiding. He's just trying to find her. And we think he's trying to kill her, but he has other motives that kind of come out to play throughout it. But it follows this group of these survivors from the small town after it's destroyed by this army. It follows this group of survivors as they have to flee through the nation, flee from an army, escape assassins, and eventually they're on the sea, fleeing from pirates and slavers and all sorts of stuff. But they're just trying to get away from this kingdom and this evil king while he plots a war and plots domination of the whole nation.
Freaking awesome, man. And you're going to make everyone wait to get these books?
Well, that's why I didn't want to. So I thought I could publish them faster than I could. So I kind of stopped marketing and everything. And now that I have 3 and 4 done, I'm remarketing 1 so that I can quick release 3 and then 4 so that people don't have to wait in between stories. Because there are elements of cliffhangers between them all.
Ooh, and there's
like
always
every good book has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. But what I was going to say is you could, well, this isn't a marketing podcast, but I was going to say, like, you could take them down and redo them and send them out.
Yeah, I've re-edited book 1 a bunch. So in the 3 years since I started writing, I've developed my craft a little bit. So I went, just this last week, I went through the whole book and did another pass of edits on it to kind of clean it up and make it a lot nicer, I think. So
my first book, I actually just had an email the other day. And it's been a long time because my first book's been out I've actually been writing for 3 years too. And I got a fan mail for it. He's like, oh my God, it's so amazing. I was like, really? Dude, I've written 1 million words since then. You should go check out something else. But I was really grateful for it. It was good to see that. You know, it's very, I'm the kind of person who needs to be reassured sometimes. And that really helps. It does help. And luckily, I'm with a girl named Lisa who's extremely supportive and overly reassuring. She makes my head bigger than what it should be. So T, do you mind me asking, what's your day job?
Yeah, I'm actually a camp director.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's just a lot of hours.
For kids?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a full year-round camp. So I do summer camp for kids and then off-season, like adult groups on site.
You should wear a Sasquatch costume. You could do it. Or just what's up?
I mean, I have worn a gorilla suit before, so it's kind of like a
throw
Sasquatch.
on a hockey mask.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to scare them too bad.
That's not that
awesome.
kind of camp.
No, not quite.
So you don't find any time to write while doing the camp things?
I mean, I do. It's mostly at night, but with a 2-year-old and with a newborn, my nights are busy.
Do you get to go home or do you stay at the camp?
I live at the camp.
Oh, so that's where you are now.
Yeah, so my house is on site.
Interesting.
So you are a man of the woods.
Yeah, kind of.
So you brought home your own deer tonight.
I did not. No.
That's cool. I've actually never met someone who did that kind of work. I think it would help your creativity maybe to be around young people all the time. And you could probably tell a hell of a fire story, like a fire. What's it called? Fire camp?
Campfire.
Campfire. I had Japanese today, so I have the right to mess up on my English. I worked hard today. That's cool, man. So do you guys want to jump into the reading?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, real quick, is there like an example of where does the buck stop that's not Holocaust? Like, is there like a smaller, less crazy example that we can think of?
I mean, it's yeah, Stevie, there is some important information. Bringing home the big bucks.
That's true. That's
disappointed
awesome.
in you missing that, but I too am disappointed, Stevie.
I wanted to, but I was gonna say, I guess that's where the buck stops, but it didn't make. I don't think it made sense. I guess if like I went back to where the car hit you hit the deer with the car, that's where the buck would stop.
Exactly. I don't know if there's any specific examples because like there's so many big ones and it's hard to think of like little examples, but it's kind of like in your everyday life, like whether whatever job you do, you're going to face these situations where you're getting orders from your boss that you've got to do something and it could affect someone else or, whatever it is. Ultimately, in most situations, you're responsible for your own decisions, no matter what someone else tells you to do. It's rare in modern times, in I would going to say the lives of the three of us, that we're going to find ourselves in that kind of extreme situation. So ultimately, the buck stops with us. Now, if we were in an extreme situation like that, there might be a little bit more moral leeway. But right now, we are ultimately responsible for everything we do.
My thoughts go to like if your family, is being threatened and these guys can hurt your family and they just have you going out and assassinating people for them, where does the buck stop? And I honestly think it would be pretty far before that buck would stop for me. So, I mean, it's just an honest truth,
There are like people who commit crimes under duress or who lie under duress. Like there is actual provisions made in the law for people who are in these sort of situations, because it's understood that there are certain survival instincts or protective instincts that override the social, what's acceptable or what is, legal even.
We actually see that in Daredevil too. I don't know if you guys watched Daredevil, where that guy gets his daughter's threatened, so he has to go kill the redhead in the jail. Pulls an Epstein on her.
I don't remember that one.
It was a brutal scene. T, have you watched that?
I have watched it, but I'm struggling to remember that scene as well.
Yeah, he's a prison guard, and the killer shows him a video of him sitting next to his daughter on a college ground. And so it was for gambling problems. And so the guy was told he had to go kill, what's her name?
Oh, the
redhead. But yeah, he tries to kill her with a towel, I believe. He tries to suffocate her.
I don't remember that, but It probably was
it's at the
there.
very beginning. So I don't know. It's stuck with me because it made me wonder, would I do that? And I probably should tell my answer on live live YouTube streaming. Okay, so we are see that transition?
Yeah, let's do it.
So if anyone dies in my near vicinity, not answering that question might save me. Oh, speaking of which, I didn't see, but a lightning bolt struck in the apartment complex.
Oh, wow.
And it shook my apartment, woke my ass up. And Sparta, he's not scared of like thunder or lightning, but he was up on the bed howling and shaking. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I actually like had to make sure that, the freaking place wasn't on fire.
Wow.
I can't imagine what would have happened at your place, T, with all the surrounding trees.
And it just would take out a few trees. That's it.
Yeah, no big deal. I took out a bar the other day. Okay, so we are on chapter 9. So, T, what we do is you are the director. You tell us who you want to play what, who the characters are, what they're all about, and also a little bit of history about what's going on.
Yeah, so there are 3 kind of main characters in this. There's Petrick. He is a kind of squire. He's a trainee, and he's been training for years with Dirk Stowen, who is the prince. And he is the son of this evil king. So all the characters in this chapter are on the bad side, you would call them, the antagonist nation, but there's a lot of greatness in there. So they're kind of the 2 main characters, and there's also Captain Zarin Koseth, and he is one of the king's guards, one of his most trusted advisors, and he has been sent to train the king's son, Dirk. So this is where they meet and they train together for the first time.
All right, I got dibs on the captain for sure.
I knew you were going to say that. Let's see.
I just feel more captainly, Stevie. Like I have like a captainly aura, I feel.
You have that nice deep voice too. I could do the narration and Dirk Stowen.
We'll just do the narration.
Okay.
This whole chapter is from Petrick's point of view as well. So
okay. Well, there you go, Stevie. Why don't you read the narration and Petrick? You read Dirk T, and I'll read the captain.
Okay.
Okay. So I read narration and T. That's all I'm doing.
And Petrick.
Okay, and Petrick. Okay. All right. You guys ready?
Do it.
Is it Mott? T?
Mott.
Okay. Petrick Mott followed Dirk Stowen to greet their guests. Lord Chet had returned to Moor with Captain Koseth, who came to train Prince Stowen. Are you nervous? Petrick inquired of his friend. The 2 had been training together for years and had grown very close. Even as Petrick went on to complete his training and become a soldier, Petrick ruffled his sandy red hair while he awaited a response from the young prince. Dirk had the same dark hair as his father, but he didn't have the same warrior build. He was barely more than skin and bone.
No, Captain Koseth's the great warrior, and I'm eager for his training.
Dirk answered. Petrick shook his head at the response. Don't give me that, Dirk. You're as stiff as a board. I know you're nervous. Dirk looked at his friend, and Petrick could see it in his eyes.
I don't want to disappoint my father. I need to be a strong warrior and a strong fighter in order to be a good king someday.
Petrick threw his arm around his friend's shoulder. Dirk, you have nothing to worry about. You're one of the bravest men I know, and someday you will be a fine king. Petrick smiled down at Dirk. The 2 continued through the city until they arrived at the main gates, just as Captain Koseth and Lord Chet dismounted their steeds.
Lord Chet, I'm glad to see you return safely.
Dirk greeted the Lord of Moor.
Welcome to Moor, Captain Koseth. It's good to have you here.
Dirk shook the man's hand. Petrick went to greet them. Welcome back, Lord Chet, he said. He turned to Zarin and said, Captain Koseth, I look forward to training with you. Petrick had been training with the prince since they were young, and he too was going to learn from the expert swordsman. Zarin nodded his greeting to Petrick.
Prince Stowen, we should begin your training immediately,
Zarin said. He didn't delay with pleasantries.
We have less than a fortnight to get you ready.
Less than a fortnight? Things are moving quickly, Petrick thought.
Meet me on the training grounds.
Zarin followed a castle squire to his quarters, while Petrick and Dirk made their way to the armory. Dirk put on his chainmail, iron breastplate, greaves, vambraces, and a half helm, while Petrick wore chainmail with simple boiled leather overtop. They made their way to choose their weapons for training. Dirk held up a short sword and felt the weight of it in his hand. He gave a few swings, then placed it back on the rack, instead choosing a longsword. He gave it one swing and smiled to his friend.
This has a lot of power behind it. Should be fun,
Dirk exclaimed. Petrick grabbed his kite shield and sword. Most soldiers used a sword and shield. Only men of higher authority used anything different. This will do just fine, Petrick assessed. As they made their way out onto the training ground, they took some time before Zarin arrived to get some swings in with the Pell. Petrick was lost in the motions. Left, right, left, block, stab, right, down, right, block, left. He called the motions out to himself. He felt a tingling in his neck, causing him to stop and turn. Zarin stood in the doorway, staring intently at Dirk. Petrick turned his gaze towards his friend and knew why Zarin was staring. Dirk was swinging blow after blow in what seemed to be slow motion. Petrick could tell the sword was too heavy for him, and that the armor was slowing him down.
Stop!
Zarin bellowed at Dirk's mid-swing, causing him to miss the Pell and send himself flying to the ground.
What are you doing?
Dirk stood and removed his half-helm.
I'm practicing. What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're trying to kill yourself.
Zarin stepped closer.
Look at what Petrick is wearing.
The two men moved their gaze to Petrick, making him uncomfortable.
Why is he wearing leather while you wear chainmail and armor?
Dirk cleared his throat.
Well, I'm a knight, and this is a knight's armor,
he said matter-of-factly. Zarin laughed.
A knight, yes. A warrior, no.
He stepped closer so that he was inches away from Dirk's face.
If you want to wear that hunk of metal, then I can't help you. If you want to learn how to fight and survive, go put on leather.
Zarin held his gaze until Dirk let his shoulders drop in defeat and turned on his heel, heading back toward the armory.
Grab a different sword while you're in there,
Zarin called out. A few minutes later, Dirk returned with a hand and a half sword and boiled leather over his chest and arms. He was visibly frustrated.
Good.
Zarin looked and sounded pleased with the change.
Listen, you and I are very similar. You know your father's cousin, Lord Victor?
Dirk nodded.
He's built for that kind of armor. He's big enough that it doesn't drain his energy in combat. Someone like you, or me, or Petrick.
Zarin glanced toward Petrick as he said his name.
We are smaller, and we need to wear lighter armor. Our greatest asset is our speed. Take some swings. Notice how much more mobility and freedom you have.
Dirk moved toward the Pell, and after one swing, his eyes lit up and a smile began to form. He kept swinging left and right, up and down, until Zarin called him to stop.
Good. Which hand do you prefer?
Petrick saw a glimpse of curiosity in his eye and had an inkling of the reasoning behind this question.
Well, I suppose my right, but I'm comfortable with both,
Dirk responded nonchalantly. Zarin smiled.
Good. Petrick, go grab 2 short swords.
Petrick moved immediately, returning with 2 practice swords in hand.
Use these.
Zarin lifted the swords, testing their weight.
This one in your right hand, and this one in your left,
he instructed as he handed the blades to Dirk. The prince again stepped toward the Pell, and he slowly started his swings. It was obvious he wasn't trained to use 2 swords at once, but as he started to understand the motions, his speed picked up. Blow after blow, he started looking more confident. He looks more and more like a warrior, Petrick thought with admiration. One simple change had turned the prince from a beginner to a threat in battle.
Does your armorer work with Argite?
Zarin inquired. Argite was a rare metal found in only a few mines through Anzaroth, and most smiths had some knowledge of crafting the exquisite weapons. Argite weapons were extremely valuable and the most dangerous, if made correctly. If made improperly, they could break upon impact.
Yes, sir.
Dirk's newfound respect for Zarin was evident.
Good. Have him forge you 2 short swords. Match the weight of the sword in your right hand. Tell him to take a little off on the left hand.
Petrick was in awe of Zarin's uncanny understanding of swordsmanship. Then Zarin turned to Petrick.
Let's see you use that sword of yours,
he said. Petrick moved toward the Pell and began his motions again.
That's enough,
Zarin said, calling a halt to the drill after a few minutes.
I've seen everything I need.
The 3 men went back to the armory to put away their equipment. Petrick sat to clean his sword, as he did every time he used it. In a hurry to talk to the armor, Dirk left immediately, leaving Petrick and Zarin alone.
How long have you known the prince?
Since he was 5, sir. Petrick had to think. So, 13 years.
Does he have any other close friends here besides you?
Zarin began sharpening his scimitar from the bench across from Petrick. He's generally liked among those in the city, Petrick said carefully. He didn't want to make Dirk sound like an outcast. I'm his closest friend, though. Petrick gave Zarin a half smile, feeling uncomfortable about this conversation. Why is he so interested in our friendship? He wondered. Zarin scratched his chin. He seemed to come to some conclusion and rose, sheathing his scimitar on his waist. He quickly left the armory, returning moments later with one of the training ground assistants.
You are in a unique situation, Petrick.
Zarin pushed the assistant between himself and Petrick as he spoke.
Best friends with the prince, that type of connection, could lead to positions of power for yourself.
He narrowed his eyes.
Are you willing to do what it takes to serve your prince?
Petrick shook his head in confusion. What do you mean? I would die for Dirk if that's what you're hinting at.
Good.
Zarin reached his hand out to Petrick.
Give me your sword.
Petrick flipped his sword in his hand, passing it hilt first to Zarin.
You're going to have to do more than that for your prince.
He grabbed the assistant, who had stood there shaking, and stabbed him through his stomach. The man tried to scream, but Zarin had a hand around his mouth. Without removing the sword, Zarin picked up a dagger and held it toward Petrick.
Slit his throat,
Zarin commanded. Petrick was in shock. What? He stood up and started to protest. You want me to kill an innocent man for nothing?
You told me you would do whatever you had to for your prince. I need you to prove that to me.
Zarin extended the dagger closer to Petrick.
Do it now.
Petrick stood his ground. No, let him go now. He can still live. There's no need for this bloodshed. Petrick was white with fear.
So be it.
Zarin released the man and let him drop to the floor, Petrick's sword still protruding from his body.
I'm sorry. I wanted to know what your limits were. Now I know.
Petrick sighed with relief. I understand. Let's get him some help. Petrick stepped toward the man on the ground when he felt a sudden pain. Looking down, he saw Zarin's hand holding a dagger in his stomach. Petrick collapsed to the floor.
I didn't want it to be like this. You should know that.
Zarin stepped over him.
You forced my hand.
He reached down and pulled the dagger out of Petrick's stomach.
This is for Dirk. Your death will harden him, make him into the warrior he needs to be.
He knelt down next to Petrick. You don't have to do this. Petrick coughed up blood as he spoke. He was starting to go numb. Zarin shook his head.
Yes, I do.
He reached the dagger down toward Petrick's throat.
It's nothing personal.
The last thing Petrick felt was warmth seep through his body before everything went dark.
Boom!
Damn.
Twist.
Wow. Remind me not to come to your camp, T. Jesus Christ. You had me there for a minute. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought he might get killed. I thought, maybe...
I did not expect him to die. I expected it to be like the typical training montage.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. Man. Now I'm shocked. Poor Petrick.
Yeah, he served his purpose, though, That was...
Yeah, I kind of want to know what happens to Dirk now.
A lot of stuff happens to Dirk.
And Dirk's a bad guy.
Dirk is he's figuring himself out and figuring who he wants to be. He's living under his father's shadow right now and kind of wants to make him proud of becoming a soldier, but also sees these horrible things his father is doing and kind of is questioning that.
I got you. Awesome, man. Well, we really appreciate you sharing with us. That's freaking awesome. And you can read more of this in Bloodstained Air, which is book 1 in the Ascent Archives. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yes, you got it.
The Ascent Archives, which is on Amazon. Is it on Audible? I don't think it is.
No, it's not. Just Amazon.
Okay. And book 3 is releasing soon.
Soon, yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if you want to see the book cover release this Saturday, you said?
I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. It's being released.
Tomorrow. Okay. So what is your Instagram?
It's T_Norman_author.
I'm going to write that down. T_Norman_author. Awesome, man. I'm going to follow. I want to check this out too. So awesome. Where else can people find you?
I also have a Facebook page. It's T_Norman_author. And then I'm on Twitter as well, not as active on there. T_Norman_author. And then I have a website, jntpress.com. And that's where you can sign up for my newsletter. And I also have a free short story on there that I wrote for NaNoWriMo this year.
Nice. Now I have to ask, do you just not want people to know what the T is? Or is it just the name you chose?
It's just a pen name. So,
okay.
So
it's not your real name.
It's not my real name, no.
Oh, so we can't Google T. Norman Camp Gorilla and find.
No, unfortunately not.
There go my evening plans.
You made a Stevie joke. I love it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, T, thank you so much for being on the air with us, man. Really appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys letting me be on here.
That was awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed that reading. I feel like it had like a Game of Thrones
very Game of Thrones.
Okay, so it seems dynamic.
Stabbing someone surprisingly is very Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I thought it was more like Harry Potter, actually. I'm kidding. Awesome. Well, T, thanks so much for being with us today.
All right. Thanks to you guys.
Awesome. Andy, do we know who we have next week?
We do know, but I don't know offhand. But
there he goes.
On Monday, we've got a special episode. You're not invited, but it's going to be me, Brian Anderson, Nicholas Eames, Daniel Green, and somebody else whose name I can't remember offhand. We're going to be talking about sort of how fantasy has evolved over the past few decades. It's going to be a pretty interesting conversation. And I'm super stoked that it'll be Monday morning around 10 or 11 Pacific time.
Ooh, man. I can't believe I'm missing out on a Nick Eames podcast.
I know.
Why is Why is my freaking camera blinking? I guess it's just crapping out. Well, guys, that is it. Yeah, I see it's bad. All right, well, we'll end it there. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to help us out, you can do so by hitting that like button and subscribing. If you really want to help us out, you could share this on Facebook. Again, we're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty difficult to do with the kind of niche that we're doing. But I think it'd be really cool if we did it, and I know we can do it with your help. So please share this video with somebody share it on your page. Really appreciate it. And we will be back next Thursday. And also check out Monday's podcast in the morning because Nick Eames will be there.
Yeah,
and Andy.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I'm
awesome.
there too.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Have a good night.
Bye.